Welcome back, beasties. Come with me and we're going to do a 4-step system on how to make a Swedish torch using an axe and a knife, and the benefits of doing one of these when you're out and about. So what do we need first? Our piece of wood. What we need second is a saw. What we need third is an axe or a knife. Fourth, a fire lighter. And last but not least, a bit of cordage or paracord. Now that we've collected everything that we need, we now have 2 pieces of wood. Now the reason I've done this is I mentioned just earlier about using an axe or a knife to do this, so I'm just going to quickly in step 1 show you how to do both with each of the items. So let's start with the axe. Now with the axe I would pick the bigger one. The smaller one is specifically because of the size of the knife. The axe can obviously go through a lot more stuff. So to start with, we'll move that to the side. We'll take our trusty axe here. Now before we start this, what we're looking for is dry wood. It has been raining here for about a week, so I've had to go find a dead standing tree, and that is the only thing that's going to work. If it's lying on the ground dead, it's going to be soaked through. You need it to be standing. It's not the centre of the tree. Take it for the bottom, it's going to be wet. Take it for the top, it's going to be wet. It has to be in the middle of the tree in most cases. But with that said, let's open this up. So what we're wanting to do is quarter this. So once that splits, we split those splits as well. I'll get it started. And there we go. That's it, the gun. Another good way to test if it's dry, and it can sometimes confuse you. Sometimes I've cut down trees and be like, oh yeah, that's dry, and it's not been. You can taste it with your tongue. This is a technique one of my friends showed me. And you can feel how porous it is. Well, how I described it is it's kind of like Velcro. If it's really dry, kind of sticks to your tongue a bit. So that's another good way of figuring out if you've actually got a bit of dry wood. I'll redo that one. Yeah. Now the reason I redid that one there, as you'd have seen, is it went off too much to the side, and it wouldn't left me enough to do what I need to do later on. But you can make that mistake with this. As you saw, I just turned it upside down and did it at the top, or what would have been the bottom, I suppose. And there we go. That is how you quarter this with an axe. Easy peasy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to quarter it with a knife. Now this, you do need an extra tool for it, but luckily, because we're out here, it's everywhere. We're going to use a little baton, right? So I'm doing, marking it up and hitting on the spine, drive it through. Now you need to watch, this is a small knife, so it's more likely to damage the knife with this, so you do have to be careful. But now I want to hit this edge at the side to drive it down. But I'm not doing it hard, I'm not going crazy or anything with it. We're just going to tap it. There's one half. And then we do the exact same again. There we have it. That's you done it with a knife and with an axe. Step 2, guys, is a twofer. So we're going to use the saw and we're going to use whichever tool we used previously on the bits of wood. So we'll start with the knife, because we just finished with the knife there. What you want to do, get your chopped bits of wood and put them back as it was originally. That's how you're going to want them to be, because eventually we're going to tie this with paracord, so we want it to be neat. So what we'll do is we'll roll it out, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll start with 1. What you want to do is go about halfway down, right? And all you're doing with your saw is putting a cut in it. That's it. That's all you're doing. I like to go about halfway through the thickness of whichever one I'm using. Okay, that's them cut. What we want to do now is we'll take our knife again, and we're going to use the knife. We're going to put it on just like how we split it, using the batten, and we're just going to slowly chip down it. And what that's going to do, from up here to there, is going to remove this piece of wood. Okay, and that's going to leave the gap, which allows us to make the little chimney. Now, you want to keep your knees, hands, anything you've got spare. Make sure your zips up on your trousers. You don't want to catch anything. And then just tap away. There you go, we're down to it. The grain might take you off a little bit, that's fine. That's what it is. Now keep these. Don't throw these away. Keep them. Okay, that's a knife quickly done. Now I'm just going to fast forward and do the axe stuff as well, but I'll let you see how I do the axe stuff because it's not the same as how we banged it before. Okay guys, back again. Now we've done the exact same thing with the bigger one that we're going to use the axe to finish off on. They're all cut to the same depth, vertically and horizontally. So with the axe, instead of banging it like we did before, you can do it. It's difficult though. We're going to use the exact same method. We're going to use a baton against it, against the back of the axe. So with this one, you really do want to stand up and keep your legs far apart, just like as if you were swinging it. You do not want to get caught by an axe, of course. What I'm going to do is, there we are. And again, keep these. Keep these. They make feathers for later on. Now, one piece of advice on doing this is I always aim my axe slightly inward. I'm exaggerating it now, but slightly into, or I suppose pointing outwards, should I say. Because if you keep it straight, my experience is, as soon as you start to drive down on it, it naturally turns out. And then you have a chunk out here, and then nothing down here. And see, when there's a slope, it's a pain to try and get out then. So just aim it in a little bit to start off with. And there we are. And the same for the last two. You really are always thinking about safety. You want to take care of these tools, they'll take care of you. They deserve respect. But if you do it wrong and it catches your leg or it catches your finger, that's that trip over and done with. So always respect your tools. Alright guys, that is that step complete. Now as you can see, we have our little chimneys. This is where we would tie it with paracord. But I'm going to show you one little bonus thing with this before we move on to the paracord, because the paracord is super easy. I'm going to roll these out. Now because you've already hit these, the wood in here is going to be rough and there's going to be little bits. That's what catches the fire. But if you're in dire needs, what you can always do is you can add like little bits of feathers. Just drop in it a little bit. Just chop into the wood. And look, it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to work. You don't have to sit there and make beautiful feathers inside this. All you have to do is enough to pull the wood away so it's got something to catch on or something to latch onto, and you're more likely to get a fire going that way. Especially if it's wet and you're cold, you don't want to be wasting time relighting, potentially relighting and relighting. That can make the difference of doing it the first time, or you maybe have to do it a couple of times to get it going. And it also all depends on what you're using to light it. So that's just a little hint to use. So step 3, we put them together. You're wanting to tie it at the bottom. So obviously down here's solid, up here isn't. So you want to tie it where it's solid. Because as it burns, you're eventually going to take this off. And that's a bad habit I'm showing you there. I'm using my teeth. You really shouldn't use your teeth. But, oh, I've done that too loose. That's okay, we'll keep that mistake in because mistakes happen. And it's fine. There we go. That's it. Doesn't have to be super tight. It just has to be tight enough. Where's my other one? There we go. We'll do number 2 here. And again, this is why earlier on we wanted it to all match up again, back to the way it was. So it all puzzles in nice and tight. There you have them. 2 torches ready to go. Oh, and what we're going to do, what I'm going to do, is cut little shavings off of this and use that to help light the fire faster. Step 4. What I brought with me today is little petroleum cubes. So nothing fancy. I'm trying to make this quick as possible. So just going to use half and half. One on one, one on another. I did bring my sparker to do this. So what I'm going to do, as soon as I light this, it's going in, dropping it. And then I'm going to add some of these little feathers that I made, these little shavings, just to help it catch. Now this one, I didn't go crazy with the internal feathering like I mentioned earlier on. I just did that there, just an example to you guys that it's a good wee technique to do if you're worried about it actually, like how fast is this going to catch. But then you can also double up with extra wee bits of feather. Right, so let's get this in. Yeah, hands of steel. But what I'll do is, before I do that, I'll just add some of these in. Yep. Yep. Again, I wouldn't advise doing that with bare hands, just like what I did. I've just done it for a long time, and so it's my hands are getting a bit used to it. Yeah, that's enough actually. Keep that there. And guys, that's it. Now this is my favourite torch. And not only torch, but I would count this as a fire lighter. And I know some people might go, oh, that's not what a fire, in the dictionary, that's not what a fire lighter is in bushcraft. But the reason I say this, why it's my favourite, is one, it's really easy to make. If it's raining and it's windy, you can still get a fire going in there. And once it's in there, the wind and the rain's not going to be much of a hindrance to you. Second of all, it is just the best at getting, if you've watched any of my other videos, it is the best at getting rid of midges and plagues and bugs that bite you and they're nasty. Look at the smoke. Hopefully the camera picks it up, but that smoke is just phenomenal. It's much safer than an open fire to begin with, because of course it will burn away. Which means you can place them strategically, as long as you look after them, as long as you don't walk away from them, and keep yourself safe from the bugs. You can also use it as a cooking stand. So as it stands now, there's enough air where you split the wood. There's enough air to be able to get in there that you can put a pot directly on top of that to boil your tea or your water. And last but not least, starting your fire, an open fire. If you do this during the day, because the bugs that bite you are more active during the day, and time of year. This keeps the bugs away. It's also burning, so when you want to move to a more open fire when it gets into night time and you need more light, you've already got it. You just need to, you take the wee paracord off it, put it where your fire is, add more wood. It's already started. There's just, I never don't use this first now. Since I started doing it, it's just part of my system when I go out. Again, depending on the time of year, because at autumn, winter times, you don't get the bugs so much. But even if I need to start a bigger fire, I usually do this first, just because it protects from the wind. But that's it, guys. I'm rambling on. That's it. 4 steps or so along with adding wee extra bits. But that's it. That's it. And it's cooking. You see this one cooking away. We're doing well in here. It's obviously a bit taller. But that's it, guys. This is a Swedish Torch. And yeah, have fun next time you're out, guys. Be safe. Thanks for joining us today, guys. That's us heading home now. And as you can see, I'm sitting on the stump that we were working on. Everything's been put away safely, all the knives, the axes. The fire's been extinguished properly before I leave this area. Even though it's wet and it's been raining for a week, you do not want to risk leaving any sort of tinders or fire, because you just never know. You never know. So it's always best to be safe rather than sorry. And as I said, I'd like to thank you all for joining me this week. I am trying my best to do one a week. And so far I've kept up with it, but it's coming in the winter, so I'm not sure just how reasonable that'll be to do it every single week. But again, thank you for the likes, thank you for the subscribes. It really does motivate me, and it makes me feel like I'm not just wasting my time out here. So thank you so much. I'm also doing something a little bit strange, not a usual sort of thing, but I do a little bit of like amateur poetry. So I was thinking about putting some of that on as separate videos. So if it's not your cup of tea, you won't be. I'm not twisting your arm to listen to it. But if that is something that you're interested in, usually the poetry is about when I'm out, when I'm sleeping, the dark, the woods, those sort of things. So if it's of any interest to you, let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate it if that's something you would be interested in, no matter how bad I am at it. But again, I'm going to whittle on here. But thank you, and I'll see you again soon. All right, guys. Bye.